would I grade
Joe Biden and his overall performance in the last year?
What's lower than an F? I'm a little bit disappointed in the economy. Inflation has really picked up.
Every time somebody questions him with anything, it's very dismissive, or, oh, it's getting better, or, oh, it was like this before I got here. It doesn't really feel like there's anything being done to address problems directly.
He worries about other people's borders, Ukraine's borders, but he doesn't worry about the United States borders. I find that appalling.
He's fumbling all of his words. He gets lost in the middle of his sentences. He can't even articulate things clearly. He just kind of laughs and mumbles in response to a very serious question.
I knew it was going to be bad. I didn't expect it to be this bad.
All right, Biden's report card. Easy gig, by the way. Hey, you want to go out and talk to people and see what they think about the job that Biden has done over the past year? Sure, I'll take that gig. It's pretty easy. I know what it is that I'm going to be getting, but what I was mostly interested in is the people, because there were some people, and by the way, that audio from Fox News, chatting with people in Texas, and they did include, I edited out the good stuff, because there were some folks in there giving Biden B's and, oh, he's done everything. I took that stuff out because it doesn't fit with the way I think. Find it deplorable.
Redaction.
I redacted the audio because there were people in there giving Biden some really good grades. But to give maybe more of an impartial look at it, I want to bring in Christopher Barnard. He is with the American Institute for Economic Research and Young Voices. And by the way, Stephanie and I, big fans. I think we have been for a long time, getting younger people involved, especially in conservative politics, which is why we especially appreciate our guest, Christopher Barnard. Man, thanks for being here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri on 93.9 The Eagle and 104.5 News Radio 950 KWOS. Let me ask you, in your estimation, now I cut out the people that were saying good things there on Biden's report card, but there were people, oh, I give him a B because he cares about everybody. What is the mindset in your mind, Chris, for these people that give him good marks? What are they thinking?
Hey, well, first of all, thanks for having me. And to your question, I think if you're being honest with yourself, if you look at the economic situation right now, if you look at the situation at the border and with immigration, if you look at the situation with energy, the situation with geopolitics around the world, I just really don't understand how you can give him anything but a failing grade. And I think, unfortunately, the people that do see the good things or think he's done good things have really been bought off by ideas like magically $10,000 being wiped off of your student debt and things like that. Yeah. Whereas we all know that that's not coming out of thin air. It's going to be paid for by tax dollars. And so I really think it's a matter of good politics on his behalf rather than good policy.
So let me ask you, so the mindset of those people, because that's the thing, and I get confronted with this all the time. If it's a political issue, a social issue, I have to be honest with myself and go, okay, for example, Brittany Griner getting freed. Am I against this because of A, B, and C, or am I against it because of this? So we got to be honest with ourselves sometimes. But it sounds like people that are giving Biden good grades, they don't have the ability to be honest.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that part of the problem is that they just believe everything they receive at face value. So if you're talking about debt relief for student loans, then they think, oh, that's magically just money that I was owing that I no longer owe, without thinking of the fact that working and middle-class people will actually be subsidizing the degrees of doctors and lawyers. And it's just that they don't go that step further to understand the true implication of a certain policy.
By the way, we're hanging out with Chris Barnard, Young Voices and the American Institute for Economic Research, talking about Joe Biden's report card here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri. Here's the thing. I've got a nephew. I think he's 20 years old. He's going to school in Fulton. And I think how this works with journalism, and I have a point here. It might take me a minute to get there, but he's going to school in Fulton, and one of the things he's shocked, he's a farm kid from like Troy, Missouri. He's outside of Troy, Missouri. He's a farm kid. And one of these classes he has is like gender studies, and is what it is, they're just telling you, listen, if somebody wants to be called a chick, even though they're not, that's what you do. And this 20-year-old farm kid from Silex, Missouri is going, what? I mean, completely disconnected from this. He's grown up a farm kid. And now he's coming into this world where I'm supposed to refer to a dude as a chick if that's what that dude wants. He doesn't understand. Well, then the other thing that's happening is then they take these same students and then they teach them journalism. And then they send them out to work in the journalism world, and they might start in towns like Columbia, Missouri, where we've got one of the most well-known journalism schools in the country. And then they go and work in these small towns, and they've taken that progressive education. And yes, a woman can be a man can be a woman, and you can be a cat, and all this other crazy stuff, and we shouldn't worry about the border. And then those people we've educated, they're now going out and reporting in the world. So my question, how much do you think the national news outlets are responsible for these people that are giving Biden good grades?
I think to your point, really, it defeats all common sense. And when you look at how universities operate nowadays, they are A, cash cows using taxpayer dollars, and B, they're using that to really push a specific ideology. And a lot of universities are mini echo chambers for progressive ideology. And it's very worrying that our taxpayer dollars are subsidizing that. And a lot of these young kids will be brainwashed to an extent at their college. And having just graduated from college myself, I witnessed that firsthand. And they then get sent out into the world. They go teach our kids. They go report on news with a very kind of biased slant. And it's a really worrying development that the higher institutions of this country are so focused on one side of the political aisle.
Yep, absolutely, you see it.
So a lot of us are going to be around our young family members here coming up and might, without trying to start a fight or ruin family dinner, are there questions we can ask or things that we could say that might, at least invite them to ask additional questions or be curious about different points of view if we know maybe they have been in an institution where we feel like they've been brainwashed?
Yeah, I think sometimes you just have to dig a little deeper and meet young people where they're at. I mean, if a young person has legitimate concerns about how expensive college is, that's entirely fair, but then you have to have a conversation about why that actually is. And the reason in this case is because governments have created a system where our taxpayer dollars go to subsidize universities to get ever larger and to charge ever more money rather than because our system is broken or something like that. And you need to talk about these things honestly. Another thing when it comes to student loans would be studies show from center-left institutions, studies show that if you were to cancel student debt, that would be paid for disproportionately by middle and lower income classes subsidizing richer people. No one wants that, but the reality is that most young people that support that policy just don't understand all of the facts. And so I think entering a conversation like that, armed with the facts and being willing to kind of meet them where they're at and say, well, you don't want rich people to get money off of poorer people. I think that's really a much more constructive way of approaching these conversations.
Another good constructive way to approach it at the Christmas parties and holiday gatherings is instead of don't do this, don't go up saying, Joe's an idiot, the worst president ever. Don't do that. Maybe instead say, hey, how's your bank account? How's your retirement?
Exactly.
All right. Our guest. He is from Young Voices in the American Institute for Economic Research. His name is Christopher Barnard, hanging out with us here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri.
Christopher, we've seen all the polling that says maybe on a good day, 30% of the voters out there approve of Joe Biden's presidency so far. And on the flip side, 70% are saying they don't want to see him run for another term as president. What's going to happen in the presidential race in your take?
Well, if I were a Democrat right now, I'd be worried, right? Because Biden is a very unpopular president. He can barely form a coherent sentence, and it's really not at all clear who would naturally follow him if he weren't to run. I mean, Kamala Harris is as unpopular, if not more unpopular, and she turns off a lot of voters. And so I really don't know who they're going to line up for this. I just hope that Republicans manage to field a good candidate that can really bring the country in the right direction. Because right now, only 1 in 4 Americans believe that we're heading in the right direction as a country, and we really need to change that.
All right, and I'm looking in this studio. What do we have, like 5, 6, 7, 8 people hanging out in here, and I don't think you'd get 1 out of 4 in here saying that, hey, we're okay with things. All right, Christopher Barnard, American Institute for Economic Research and Young Voices. And let me ask you this. How old are you, man?
I'm 24.
24. What is it with your passion in politics?
I mean, I look at this country. I'm one of those 3 out of 4 people that aren't happy with the way the country is heading. Then I just think that my role is to be in politics and to stand up for the truth and to help push us in the right direction.
Good on you, man. We appreciate it. I'm a 51-year-old cranky white dude. We need more people like you to fill in the ranks when it comes. We call it conservatism. I think it's just American ideas. Christopher Barnard, man, thank you for your time here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri.
Well, thank you for having me, and I couldn't agree more.
All right, man. We got to get you back on again sometime soon.